Welcome everyone, here's a serious toy review for the serious adult collectors. So you're going to actually hear legible English here and concepts that are past a 3-year-old. So the whole idea is that these are the Dino Strike glow-in-the-dark double pack, which is kind of cool. Unbox and battle all new surprise dinos. This is kind of cool. Can you find the rare Dino? And this is an interesting concept from ZURU. And these are kind of takeoffs of a lot of the Japanese machines that would give you balls like this with toys inside. Usually for a much cheaper price, but the gangshu or gashu or something like that of how these machines they have in Japan for anywhere from $1 to some go as high as $5 and $6, where you get these different types of toys inside, which are quite cool and very diverse, and they're made in many different styles, from manga to video games to other things. Well, these are these new Dino, and these are the glow-in-dark ones. Now, the reason I personally got these is part of my serious wargaming, because they actually shoot missiles off of them and can be used in what are going to be a hybrid version of crossbows and catapults, where we physically. So let's open these up and look at them. See if there's a particular, it looks like it's taped at the top here. Okay. And they have these balls here, which again are wrapped. This is a new thing that a lot of people are doing. You make balls, you unwrap things more, so you get double wrapping. I guess it makes it more exciting. You know, everybody loves to unwrap stuff. It's part of the experience of getting something new. Getting a lot of glare on that camera. So let's look at the packaging again here, close. There's your ZURU. ZURU.com, made in China. Oh, really? What a surprise. And here's all the technical jargon on it. Nice packaging. I mean, it's a pretty... Get that away there and we get a little better. Now we're still getting glare. But, there's 13 new of these, 13 new glow-in-the-dark ones. And, of course, who doesn't like glow-in-the-dark? And who doesn't like dinosaurs? And who doesn't like shooting missiles? So, it comes in this canister. These, I think, were on sale a little bit, but these were a good price for only $7. Most of the ones I'm seeing other than these. And there are different sizes, usually run around $13, $14. Again, a little high for those types. This was a good deal for, including shipping, for like $6 something. And of course they have these little open things here, and you open these up, little zippers, and they even show them on there. And I'm assuming there's another zipper here, and they have these kind of little bizarre egg things. Let me see if we can, where's the zipper on here? Another zipper is up here. Well, I don't see any additional, so we'll just go in here and just use the knife to pull this out so we don't waste boring video time. So what you produce is you get this kind of interesting pull-apart egg. And they come in little packages like this. Let's see if everybody can see that properly. So they break off almost kind of like a cut orange. And then what you do is you peel off these little stuff on the top here. See if I got a good spot for that. And inside is a piece to the actual dinosaur. You can see that these are pretty well made here. And of course, here's another piece. several pieces of this particular one. And here's the instructions. I hope everybody's seeing that. So each of them have a tag on the side here, and you pull that off. I personally do not like assembling stuff. I prefer to get the assembled stuff. I don't know what the thrill of assembling stuff is. Certainly this isn't major assembly, but I dislike Legos because of the fact that it's all this build stuff. Build. Oh, it's 1,000 pieces. Yeah, 1,000 nightmares. Who cares? I'm not interested in building it. I want to use it immediately. I don't want to necessarily build it. So here's all the pieces. Here's the kind of little catalog of other figures here. Get this up here so you can see it. And these are all, there's 13 of these. Here's the rare one. Collector's Guide. And of course there's collect them all, of course. Can you find the rare gold one? And that's another thing I don't particularly like. Everything's a mystery package. Well, I didn't even like that with baseball and trading cards because you tend to get an awful lot of doubles. And of course, if you know a bunch of people who are trading cards, I guess you can swap those with other people. But I always found that to be a giant waste. You have all these extras, which you really don't want. And of course, that's what these things end up happening as well. Of course, it's good for the manufacturer, but I think it's very bad for the consumer. You should be able to pick the ones you want. So, we have this particular instructions here of how to put this together. And we're going to put this one together here. It looks like it's not going to be too difficult, even for me, old dude. So, the whole idea is that here's the instructions. I'll try and do these things slower as of recent, because what people don't understand is when you film something is that it's not instantaneous. You have to focus on it and think about it, etc. So this looks very clear. Oh, there's a lot of info there. Well, you can't see it. It's mystery. So, these are very simple to put together. Let's just go ahead and jump on it. Looks like there's some articulation here. So you can move things a wee bit. Get these things on here. And again, it's hard to do this on camera because you can't get a proper angle in terms of you doing it together. But these basically press in. It seems like the plastic is is pretty good. It's semi-soft, so you can press things on like this. But it's hard enough where you can get a lot of details. So that's kind of nice. And of course the tail goes on the back, and there's a you can see there's a little actual comes out a wee bit where you clip that on, so you can kind of tell with some of the pieces. And okay. You can see that a piece fell off there. And like most things, you got to struggle this with a little to get it perfectly on there so it's positioned. They don't snap on as well as they should. I mean, again, that's a manufacturing situation that could have been done a little better here. If, all this stuff is pretty expensive now. So, it's not the fact that you're getting this for a couple of bucks. So the whole idea is that you're paying a fair amount of money for these things. So you should make sure that they are made properly and fit together. And these things, of course, tend to pop off very easily here because they're probably not fully on. Let me move this out of camera range to see if I can press it on better. So, okay. So, you can see how the arms fell off there. Let me pause this for a second. Okay, continuing here. It's difficult on camera to get the right positions to hold it in front of you here. So I had to take this and hold it at a particular position to press these in better. And you have to do it just right for them to hold because they do tend to pop off easy if they're not seated correctly there. So once you get them seated correctly, they seem to be pretty good. But I can certainly see that if someone's roughhousing with these or throwing them around, these are going to pop off. Now, you can put them back on, but I'm not so sure about ultimate construction there. I would have engineered something a little bit different. Now, you get two of these pieces, which I had a little bit of problem putting together here. I don't know if you can see that here. This clips in here, this clips in here. These are two pieces. This then goes on the top over here, which doesn't click in or anything. So from what I can see, let me check those instructions again. Yeah, they don't really click in. There's nothing for this actual to hold on the back very well. So it's like a saddle that isn't strapped underneath. So again, that means that's going to fall off easy. Let's see if I can press it on here a little bit. I guess this is supposed to go into the shoulders a bit here on this one side. But again, you know, if this can't be figured out easily and quickly and the fit isn't good, then what is the problem? So let me see there. Did that press down? Okay, yeah. You had to go in there and press this down hard. And again, you're putting stress on the legs, which are starting to pop out again, but it's not too bad. So I guess that's now, because you're not going to be able to play with this very well or move it around if this pops off because it's not on there. It also has an eye covering here. Let's see how that works. Armor for the eye. And those just press on, and it seems like it presses on easy and stays on. So let me rearrange the legs here a wee bit. And again, these don't move that well, and so it's hard. Okay, we're got to play with them a little bit in terms of getting them proper, just like the holding on here. But, you know, you're going to have to do that. You have to, the legs do move, so you do have to position them somewhat to do everything in terms of getting this, especially if you're going to start using the rocket thing. Now, I'm not sure what, I guess the yellow glows, or is it just this that glows? Probably just this glows. And, of course, here's the actual cannon. There's the trigger. Okay, that goes on the top, and apparently that does hold. You don't have much of it. You know, you can go side to side, but you can't really go up and down and hold it too well. I guess you can move it within there a wee bit for actually aiming. And, of course, what I do is I need proper aiming. So that just sticks in as usual. So let's get a little look at this. Here's the completed model. You can see because the feet are not positioned quite right, that it tends to fall over again. And of course, that's again depending on what you're doing with it. See if I can get this foot position. Now these do move a wee bit, and so do the back, so you're going to have to play with it to get the proper positioning. That seems to be a strong position. So it's basically a nice sculpted figure generally. I don't particularly like, the fit on the back here. And you see a giant space here. It doesn't look that great, but I'm not sure why that couldn't press in better. The pieces lock in pretty good, but you're going to have to struggle with them to get them to lock in properly and then adjust them. These are going to pop off pretty easy once you do it. The head moves. That doesn't seem to be wanting to pop out, but that's kind of nice. You got some articulation there. It seems like once you get the saddle on and press it down, it does lock onto the figure as the front does here as well. So you're not going to lose that stuff. This seems to lock in good too in terms of can be turned, but it's not going to just pull right out. Now, let's see what kind of a shot we can make with this against the wall right there. Pull back a wee bit. Okay, we'll do that again. That's not a bad for a little piece like that. That's not too bad of a shooting. So it does have its uses, and it could knock down something, particularly other figures. So that's not too bad. But again, you can't elevate anything very much. That's your place. So if you want to shoot down, you're going to have to move your whole figure. If you want to shoot up, you're going to have to move your whole figure. You're not going to be able to do that just from this. And the trigger is pretty good. You can access it. That's right at the top, right in the place you can grab it. And you can trigger it pretty well. And it fits in well. That didn't shoot too good. And you just don't know with these things over time in terms of how well they will work after you shoot them 100 times. So, right there, that seems to, after shooting it a few times, the spring seems to have already weakened. And one of the problems with these things is I'm not sure you could open these up and put a better spring in there. That's usually a nightmare. Yeah, that's pretty sad shooting right there after I shot it a couple of times. Let's see this again, if that matters. Was I doing it like this before and it was better? Yeah. So that's after the first few initial, the actual spring is pretty weak. It can't even make it. Well, there we go again. It seems to vary dramatically. And I don't know if this is the position of the actual spear inside or not. The details of all this stuff will be going into my more detailed gaming. Yeah, again, that was a good one. I don't know. We're going to have to see, but it just shows you there's a variance there, which has to be taken into consideration. Now we have another egg here, and what I'm going to do here is pause. There's no reason opening another egg here. They all are the same. We'll show the figure here next as we pause. Okay, I'll kind of show you the ending here of the new egg. I don't know if all this stuff is. I don't know if this fascinates people and they think this is fun. It's a lot of wasted additional packaging. You're not going to be using these eggs again. This is kind of the fun of opening things again. And of course, I'm sure that their product development people, which is something that I do personally as well. So look at all this, like opening all these little packages. And of course, that's what really Christmas is about. It's not getting something when at Christmas time. It's all the packages you're opening. It's the anticipation. But this is a big giant waste, and this has absolutely no purpose after you use it. I'm not sure what anybody would do for this. It doesn't really stay together. You could put the you could put this back on here to hold it together for what? I have absolutely no idea how you would possibly use that. So let's move all this trash. Look at all that trash for these two figures that we've created here. You know, I think some consideration needs to be given for that. But in the bigger picture, you know, trash is always going to be there, and there's not much we can do about it. Is it worth the fun? Well, I think it could have been probably done a little better with a lot less trash. And, of course, you get the collector guide here, the little catalog, which is exactly the same as the one I just showed you. You get instructions here on this particular one, and this is kind of a skeleton one. I would have preferred something more like this instead of a skeleton-y figure. And apparently there's a lot of parts to put together here, which again I'm not too crazy about. Don't like a assembly. So let's see what we've got here. And again, let me just pause this because it's hard to see and do this at one time. There is a fair amount of assembly here, as you can see from all the parts. Okay, and I've got this together. It's a little confusing to put this together. One of the problems is the rib cage here. It's hard to say which is up or down on these pieces. This is the bottom of the neck, and you do have to position the rib cage here perfectly so it snaps in. Don't particularly like that. It took a while to figure that out, and it took a while to get the actual fix. That should be something that should be sturdier and easier to put together. The rest of it is okay. It fits pretty good, but not really happy with the way that is in terms of product development and engineering. Should have been a little better on the rib cage here, because that's what you have. This should click in much better. It does click in if you get it perfect, or I shouldn't say click in, but presses in okay. But that's another little problem with, I'm assuming, all these types of things. Let's see how this fits on, because you're going to have to put pressure on these things, like to get this on here. Let's see of how this would fit. Let's see if it shows it on here. Okay, yeah, the large openings here go at the back. This appears to kind of fit in here. And again, I'd like more clicking, more things that fit in and press in a little better. Okay, here we go. But, you're going to have to put quite a bit of pressure on there to get that to click in. And there's the fear of the rest of the piece falling apart when you do that. And you have to adjust the legs and everything else. See if we can get that clicked in, basically. Yeah, it seems to fit pretty good in there, but again, you got to press that on there, because if this comes off, you can't really move the figure around very well, because you're going to just be carrying around the rocket saddle, so to speak. So all that clicking in could have been better here. The jaw fell off because I had to put different pressure on things. I hope that didn't break it. Let me see if I can click that back in. Now these have two little tabs on it that you kind of press in, which I'll have to work on a wee bit. Because those, again, the fit could be better on all of these things. Even this saddle here could be fit better. Now, I guess I can play with this a little. Let's see if I can adjust it somewhat. But I'm not sure you should have to do all that kind of stuff. I mean, this should just click right on easily, and none of it does. You got to get it positioned perfectly to make sure that it clicks in, just like the jaw here. There's little tabs in here that you have to make sure that you get connected for it to stay in place. And I would like to see those fit better as a general rule. That's all part of the engineering factor that goes into things. Okay, here's the actual cannon, which goes right in the top here. That fits in pretty good. And again, you've got side-to-side action. You can't really go up or down with that. So it shoots basically in one direction unless you want to move your figure up and down. It also comes with a headpiece here. I don't know if that clicks in again or how that works. Let's try and push it on here. Okay, well that just slips right on and fits pretty good. Then of course you've got your typical spear situation or your rocket there. So I guess it just depends whether I prefer figures more like this that are kind of full, complete figures instead of this kind of skeleton warrior type situation. And you can see this this doesn't clasp to the neck. It only holds back here. So when you move your figure up and down, you're getting a loosening of that particular. So these are all design flaws in terms of doing things at a certain level. You can see how the jaw is now opening because those things didn't fit back in. You know, all that is something they need to work on to have a better actual figure that the fit is better. This doesn't fit well. It's hard to get this. It's hard to know whether this is up and down. All those types of things cause a problem. And this particular rocket saddle doesn't work very good on here, particularly when you start moving your figures to a certain extent. And as I said, you can see how the jaw pops out because it's got these little things that have to be perfect in there. But let's try the rocket here, and then I will play with this a wee bit myself. I have the trigger in the back here to shoot this rocket. Now let's see, this is a different type of rocket. You can see this is, and I'm not sure what glows in the dark here. We have only one thing that glows in the dark. Does the harness glow in the dark? I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. I don't have, it's daytime. I really can't do anything with this right now. It appears that only this one thing is glow in the dark. That's deceptive as well. I don't know if this harness glows in the dark. Let me put it over at the light here for a second to see if that does anything. I frankly doubt that that glows in the dark, so it's kind of deceptive here. So basically, and this shows a harness that is glowing in the dark here, and an eye thing, and as far as I can tell, none of that is true. So, can you find the rare gold one? Is this the gold one? That certainly is gold, but it doesn't appear that there is much glowing in the dark stuff here, except the one missile there. I put this in the light. It didn't seem to do anything, but of course, it's I have all sorts of lights on right now. So let's trigger this and see what it shoots. That is pretty good. That's a strong one, but it was strong last time. There seems to be a variance in every time you put it in. You can see that wasn't very strong in terms of a second shooting there. And that was a good shooting. As I said, for my purposes, that these are pretty good. I guess you want to make sure they sit in there well. I don't know if that's seated properly or not. You can see how that, interesting there, of how the putting in these actual you have to, it's interesting because you have to put them in so it goes all the way to the bottom like that, which is a particular, now they will fire both ways, but there is apparently a strong firing and an actual weak firing. Here's the strong one. Yeah. And that depends on how you position the actual. And the ones that shoot the most, obviously, are the ones that go in and seat. See, like, that's not seating if you see that. You have to turn that around like this, and you can see now that's seating and clicked in, and that's when you get a good, strong... why it would work in both directions, I don't know, but it seems to. Maybe there's a time when you want to not shoot as hard. But that's a pretty good actual shooting of this particular figure. And I don't know if this is the prized gold one or not. It says, can you find the gold one? Well, that certainly is the gold one. So, of course, this has a gold top on it as well. So it's hard to say what they mean by gold in terms of that. But as I said, this figure is pretty good, but you got, again, like everything, you got to make sure you seat it well, make sure that they're pressed in just right and everything is positioned just right. And that takes a little fiddling with, just as it takes a little fiddling with to get this jaw in properly, to fit the little plugs in there, so that it works properly, the jaw itself. And that means you're probably going to have to take the head off and position the draw properly. I'm assuming, if I run into this problem, everybody does. But, it's the same old story. You got to get those little plugs in there together. And they do fit when you position them properly, meaning perfectly. But if you don't position them perfectly, they're going to pop off. And, if pieces pop off, particularly, but even with adults, when you're doing things, if you've got them on tables or moving them around, but children in particular, if parts pop off, it means that they're going to get easily lost. So you have to be careful with that. You lose pieces from a particular figure, you lose the missiles or whatever, and your figure is no longer worth anything, or you've lost a lot of value to that figure of play value. So having a tight figure that things don't pull off, these legs are very strong, the tails seem to be okay, but the head type stuff like this and the jaw, well, this could be a problem if you start giving this any kind of serious movement around, or using it in war game scenarios where you're shooting things at it. All of this could be a particular problem there. But in general, I mean, these are nice little figures. I mean, for what I paid for this, which is about $3.50 each, or approximately $4 US each. Well, they're not bad for that. And they, as I said, I get things that shoot. Has to be something. I just don't want a dinosaur figure. I want something that can be used in this way. So, and let's see if we can just expose this to the light a wee bit and see if this actually glows a bit. So, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's too hard for me to tell in this lighted environment. But it doesn't look like there's a lot of glowing going on here. If it's supposed to be just this green one. Generally, glow-in-the-dark is a green in texture. That's part of the chemical process. Well, this ain't green. Nothing's green except this. So I'm not sure. In the pictures they show on here, the pictures they show on here were the green aspect. Well, none of this is in this actual kit here. I mean, there's hardly any green on here whatsoever in terms of glow-in-the-dark. And as I said, this may be the gold figure that is so cherished, supposedly the rare gold figure. But as I said, from this type of artwork that's on here, and looking at these figures, it doesn't appear that there's much glow-in-the-dark here. But certainly, these are fun, cool figures. The construction is pretty good. You got to make sure you click everything in, and then you shouldn't lose stuff. But as I said, loose parts means lost parts, and it means you've lost the value of that particular toy, and you could lose the value of using it, because if you lose certain parts, it certainly decreases the fun. Hope you've enjoyed this detailed adult examination of this particular toy.